Welcome back to the Soft Tissue Revolution podcast, version 2.0, where we teach manual therapists a new treatment system that does focus on working smarter, not harder, which will allow you to cut your treatment times by at least 50%, and in most situations, like 75 to 80%, which will allow you to stay healthier, avoid burnout, so you can help a hell of a lot more people get out of pain and keep them the hell away from pain pills, injections, or surgeries, which only make things worse. My name is Dr. Matt Maggio. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the show. Let's get right into it. Why I don't post my prices on my website and why you shouldn't either. Oh, money. Money has a lot of emotions alongside it. And money becomes very emotional. At the end of the day, money is just a transfer of energy for exchanging something of value. A big thing that I learned, and it took me a long time to learn it, with a lot of like scarcity mindset and getting stuck in like the triggers of money years ago, was price is what you pay and value is what you get. And unfortunately, a lot of people try to determine the value strictly off of the price instead of actually looking what you're going to get out of it. So about 5 years ago, we made a decision across the board to no longer post prices anywhere on the internet. Nowhere. Not on my website, not on my Google page, not on any of my social media stuff. Nowhere. And at first, you might be saying to yourself, that might actually cost some potential business. Yeah, maybe it will. But in all honesty, the people that are shopping solely based off of price are not the people that I want to work with in the first place. There's another thing I talk about a lot, and I try to teach you all as manual therapists, is this idea of like being a specialist or finding a niche or something that truly differentiates yourself from somebody else out there. A lot of manual therapists out there get stuck in what I call the commodity trap. So what the commodity trap is, basically, you look around what everyone else in your area is doing and you look at their pricing and you say, all right, I'm going to charge something around there. You might charge a little bit less when you first start. You might charge a little bit more as you get better to try to make a little bit more money. But at the end of the day, you're pretty similar to everyone else out there. And then people just judge you based off of price. So when they're looking, they're like, oh, well, you're $150 an hour, and then this person's $135. Maybe I'll just go to them because they're $15 cheaper. They don't really know the difference about what's going on. So don't get stuck in that commodity trap. The biggest thing I talk about is find something that's different and specialized about you, your unique selling point, the thing that truly sets you apart. I talked about this on past podcasts, but the idea of like, I am a soft tissue injury treatment specialist with a focus on neck, shoulder, and sciatica. That's all I do. That's all I work on. I'm not doing everything else. I am a master of a few things, and I'm not a jack of all trades. So how do I make all this work? And another big thing is, how do I handle someone who comes right out of the gate asking how much everything costs? They'll reach out, maybe they'll respond to one of our social media posts, or they might call, or they might text, or they might email, and they go, hey, how much? That's just what people are programmed to do. How much does it cost to come in? So how do I make all this work and avoid having those conversations that just are wasteful when people are just strictly looking for the cost of things and not really trying to figure out if you're the best value? Number one, as I said before, is I position myself as a specialist or an expert in a certain injury or pain. And I said before, my main focus is neck and shoulder pain and some sciatica stuff. I don't really like to do that much, but mostly like neck and shoulder pain. That's what most of my clinic marketing materials are. And it's been shown and proven that people will pay 10 times more for a specialist versus a generalist. Next is I qualify who I would even consider working with. I covered the ins and outs of all that on the last episode, but basically go through the idea of like, they have to have neck, shoulder, sciatica problem. They've had to been dealing with the problem for at least 6 months and then seen and failed care with multiple providers. And number three is I stick to a rule that we don't talk about price until I know if I can even help. And then once they're qualified, they meet all those criteria that I talked about, then we get them booked for an in-person consultation. So what can happen in the initial stages when they're insistent and they push for price. They're like, I just need to know how much it costs. Why are you being an asshole? Why are you holding back what the costs are? You know, these people usually are going to be a pain in the ass anyway. And a lot of times they haven't been through enough. You know, if they're not qualified, maybe they just hurt themselves. Maybe they haven't seen a bunch of other shitty providers to know how much more special I am or how you can be. Maybe all of that kind of stuff. And they're not qualified. They're going to push for price a lot more because they're judging you off a commodity. You don't ever want to be stuck in that commodity trap. So I go into levels when this happens. And first off, I start really nicely. Then I become a little bit more passive aggressive as it goes on. So in the first part, when they first reach out, when they see one of my ads, or maybe they heard about me from somebody, they found me on Google, something like that. The first part, I'm really just trying to qualify them to see if I can even help or want to work with them. And you must stick to your guns on this and never answer any price questions until you know for sure they're qualified. And if you do it, and you give the price before you ever know if they're qualified, you lose all your power, and those people are going to be a pain in the ass, and they're going to walk all over you. So say the people push a little bit and they say, hey, how much does it cost? And I always start off, anytime someone asks me a question, I say, hey, great question. And I'm actually really glad that you asked, since what I do in my office is so unique and specialized, and I do have a high success rate with my clients of around 95%, but that's only because I properly screen any potential clients and only take on those that I know I can truly help. I just want to ask you a series of questions to make sure that I can help. And if I'm confident that I can, then I'll gladly go over all the cost-related questions. Does that sound good? See the end there, I say, sound good. I'm being nice. And it's like, hey, I'm doing you a favor. You do me a favor. And that's that level one. I'm being kind of nice. I'm not getting too pissed off yet. Then maybe they'll push it a little bit more. They might say, hey, I'm on a budget, or, they might come up with all sorts of stuff. And a lot of times these people are going to end up being more and more of a pain. If you get them to that level one and then they're reasonable, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to answer your questions. But if they push a little bit more, then my intensity goes up a little bit more in my tone and what I say, so be like, yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. Once again, even if they're being a jerk, I'm like, I totally hear what you're saying. But here's the thing. I haven't even had a chance to properly assess you yet to even know if I can help. And in all honesty, anyone that gives you a price over the phone before they ever know if they can help will never be able to solve your problem. And I'd avoid those people at all costs. One thing I can assure you though is my treatments, they're not cheap because they actually work. But they're not overly expensive either. And we work with people on all budgets. And another thing that really sets us apart from all other clinics out there, what we offer in our office if you become a client and get treatment is a full excellence guarantee on all our treatments. Basically what that means is you're just going to get the highest level of quality and service possible throughout the entire process. And if at any time you don't think you got that, just let us know and we refund your money back right away. No questions asked. So like I said before, if you're willing to answer these questions, and I'm confident we're going to be able to help, then I'll gladly go over all the cost-related questions. Does that sound fair? Does that sound fair? See, it's different than good. Now, fair, I'm kind of like, all right, now you're kind of being an asshole, but I'm going to give you one last chance. Say they push it again. They're like, well, you're hiding. Like, you don't want to deal with these people. They're fucking assholes. They're price shoppers. They only care about price. They don't want to get any better. And they can't figure out why they're not any better because they keep going to the cheapest fucking bargain solution hunter and they never get better. The problem with a cheap solution is it isn't a solution itself. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. So on this level 3, I kindly tell them to fuck off. Like, kindly. So I'll be like, yeah, once again, totally hear what you're saying. Just sounds like you're not ready to fully commit to our process right now, which is totally fine. I do have another client coming in right after you, but in the future, if you change your mind, decide you want to come back in, get this fully figured out, just give me a call back. And if I have a spot, I'll be sure to give it to you. If not, I will add you to my waiting list and I'll get you in as soon as possible. But I appreciate you taking the time to take the call today, and I hope you have a great day. Even if they're a fucking asshole, I always leave it nice because that's just how I am. That's my real level of passive aggressiveness. So let's say they are qualified. They answer all my questions. I will share the cost side of things. I don't want to think that I ducked that question. I don't want to be a person of like poor integrity that said I was going to do something. I didn't do it. So at the end of all that, and I get them all set up to come in for the full in-person functional evaluation, what I do next, I say, hey, and I don't want you to think that I forgot about all your cost-related questions. And I say, our treatments average anywhere between $55 to $65 per visit, really depending on the complexity of the injury. And typically our clients see at least a 50% permanent reduction in pain in about 6 treatments or less. I give them an idea like what they're looking at, ballpark and stuff like that. My 55 to 65, I'm really on the higher end of that. And that's for about 15 minutes of treatment and multiple treatments paid for up front. We cover that in a lot of different other episodes about getting them to pay for it up front, but it helps them get an idea from that. And when they do answer the questions, they're qualified and everything like that, then I'm okay going over the price because they get a better idea that I am a expert at what I do. I'm a specialist and I know what I'm doing. Then we can talk about price a little bit. So a couple action steps from this podcast, number one is just pick a specialty or niche and market yourself as a true expert. Get and take your prices down from the website. You're going to be stuck getting judged solely based off like price. And you're like, well, I'll lose clients. You don't want to have those people. They're cheap fucks that aren't going to invest in any care. They're going to try to do the least amount of treatment possible and then expect you to give them the sun and the moon. Next thing is have a sales process that you stick to every time to make sure everything lines up correctly from start to finish. We actually teach this in our more in-depth immersive courses where we go through taking consultations, getting them to book exams, getting them to commit to multiple treatments up front and staying on a maintenance plan. That's all taught in our immersive courses after you've gone through the free training. And then lastly, work towards being able to do treatment better and faster than anyone else around you. And you'll never have to compete on price ever again. That's all I got for you guys. Appreciate you listening to the show. If you like the show, share it to your network with other providers that you know it could help. Go download our no-charge training modules. They're better than any paid course out there. And then actually, when you download them, finish them, go through them. And if you like what you see, you want to take it to the next level, get on that path to, like I said, treating smarter, not harder, 50 to 75% less work, helping more people, avoiding burnout, and getting paid accordingly for being a true specialist. Then you can reach out and see if you qualify for one of our in-depth immersive courses to get you on the path to being a true solutions provider and get so damn good they can't ignore you. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If you want help on the path to being able to double your income, all while working 50% less and being taken seriously as a healthcare provider, I have some great resources for you. Number one, get access to our free training modules and introduction to my system, the Peak Method. Number two, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Soft Tissue Revolution. Links to all of this can be found in the show notes. Lastly, if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review and share it with others that you know it could help.